Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Myself, Dr. Mohammad Ibrahim Altaf, working as an associate professor in the Department of Humanities and Science. I welcome you to the uh, Unit 4th lecture. That is Chapter 2. We are dealing with Chapter 2 now. See, in the last class, we discussed about the See, in the last class, we discussed about the magnetic materials, ferrites, about ferrites and its application. As you know, ferrites is nothing but it is a type of antiferro magnetic material. Uh, Depending upon the unparalleled spin of the antiferromagnetic material, it has been termed as ferrite magnetic material. And also, it contains A sites and B sites, whose general formula is given as X Fe3 plus O4, right? So in the place of X we can have two atoms, either manganese or magnesium. So by replacing that X value with manganese or magnesium or any other atom, so depending upon this particular factor, the we call that structure of the ferrite as it contains A sites and B sites. So now this and what are the different applications we have seen of the ferrites? There are various applications of ferrites. It is used in isolators, inductors, right? In computers, as a memory devices, used as a component of memory devices. So now, as we move on to the chapter 2 that deals with the electrical resistance, first of all, before studying about the superconductor, we need to understand what is electrical resistance. This particular part we discussed in the last class, the how the electron is flowing. We say that as the electron is flowing inside the conductor, so um, as long it is flowing, the resistance will be more if we are using thin wires, long thin wires, to the when compared with the short thin thick wires. And the resistance of a given material, right, depends upon the mm, formula R is equal to rho L into A, rho L by A. That is what you can say. Rho is nothing but it is the uh, resistivity. L is the length of the given what you can say, the conductor. Cross sectional area, A is the cross sectional area, rho is the resistivity, and this resistivity and conductivity value, they are inversely proportional to each other. So the electrical resistance of the conductor is very hard to measure, to and also which due to which it is very hard to push this flow of charges inside the conductor. So as you know, there is a basic difference. We just start our today's topic with the semiconductor. You are aware of the fact that the semiconductor is not, it will conduct only in a particular direction, right? When some amount of current is flowing, so therefore definitely the voltage drop will be almost constant. So as we compare with the conductor, right? So conductor is a simple wire which current flow in any direction, either to the uh, particularly in the horizontal way, on the vertical way. So it will be flowing inside the circuit, anywhere inside the circuit. And since in a conductor you will find that the resistance will be low, right? And when we talk about superconductor, it is a special material at a particular temperature. Usually when I say a particular temperature, here we are referring with the cold temperature. So it means that low temperature, right? And it has a zero resistance. Wherever you find that there will be minimum resistance, minimum the value of resistance is very less, then we just say that that particular material will come under the category of superconductor. But at certain temperatures, this is possible at this particular temperature only. We just say that is called low temperature, right? So now, as you know, that superconductivity is a phenomena in which certain materials, certain, see, this is very, very important. When I say superconductivity, superconductivity. So conductivity is possible and is very high. That is the reason that we just say the superconductivity. So superconductivity is a phenomena in which certain materials are extremely low temperature, which possess zero electrical resistance, and you'll find that there will be the magnetic lines of force, right? The magnetic lines of force will not be moving inside this material, that we call expulsion of the magnetic lines of force. That is, we say that is called Meissner effect. This particular phenomena has been discovered by the scientist called Meissner. Therefore, this is called that is called Meissner effect. Definitely, that will be discussed in the later section of this uh, class. So, in this phenomena, when I say that this phenomena is nothing but it will be the resistivity value will be very less, very less when they are cooled at a sufficiently low temperature. So superconductivity phenomena, what we get from this superconductivity phenomena is that superconductivity says that certain materials which are exhibiting the superconductivity at a particular critical temperature, or we say that is called lower temperature, and also the electrical resistance of this particular material is less, or we just say called it will possess a zero electrical resistance, and this particular thing is known as superconductivity, right? So this is very important. Superconductivity is a phenomena, or superconductivity is a phenomena in which we'll find that at a particular value of temperature, the electrical resistance of that material becomes zero. There is a full what you can say a movement of the charges which are flowing inside these superconductors, and these how these charges are moving, right, to the maximum extent when they will not find any resistance, right? So if there is no resistance, then definitely the flow of charges, the flow of electrons will be more, right? So this particular phenomena, we just say that that is called superconductivity. Now actually how this particular superconductivity has been formed, that is a $1 million question. So before the discoveries of this superconductor, the electrical resistance of conductor becomes zero at zero at absolute temperature. As an absolute temperature that we are talking about absolute zero. So before discovering the superconductors, some conductors are possessing or showing a particular character at a particular temperature, and that particular character at a particular temperature, it is found that the electrical resistance is nearly equal to zero. But in certain materials, the electrical resistance becomes zero when they are cooled at very low temperature. And we just say that this is nothing but we call that as superconductors. So these superconductors at a particular value of temperature, low temperature, exhibiting zero electrical resistance, are nothing but lead, niobium nitride, etc. are few materials which are exhibiting the electrical resistance are nearly equal to zero. So when you find that there is a very less electrical resistance, or it is it is approximated to zero, so then the such materials at a particular temperature or critical temperature where they are exhibiting the superconductivity phenomenon. So this is what how they are formed. The superconductivity in the material is formed at this particular temperature. So now lead and niobium nitride is one of the what you can say examples, a few examples of the superconductivity phenomenon. Now how who found it, right? So who is the scientist who found that superconductivity is existing? That is Kamerlingh Onnes, who studied that resistance of the solid material at a particular temperature, and also the discovery of liquid helium as a refrigerant. This is a recent discovery which has been made uh, with respect to the superconductivity. So now it has been shown that at a particular temperature of 4.2 Kelvin, the resistance abruptly disappear, or we can just say that you don't find any resistance at a temperature of 4.2 Kelvin. And particularly we talk about the mercury. Here we are just taking the example of a mercury. The mercury at a temperature of 4.2 Kelvin, observed that the resistance is nearly zero. Now For this particular value at 4.2 Kelvin, the mercury's resistance is decreasing. So for this particular discovery, Kamerlingh Onnes got the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930, so which has found that superconductivity at a particular temperature, 7 Kelvin, in 1941. See, what I am talking about in the previous section, it was 4.2 Kelvin. So in 1913, he won the Nobel Prize, Kamerlingh Onnes, for the material called lead. He found that the superconductor, the lead material is behaving as a superconductor at temperature at a temperature of 7 Kelvin, and mercury at a temperature of 4.2 Kelvin, it is behaving as a superconductor. So here we have just given you the two examples of mercury and lead, and for the discovery of this lead as a superconductor at a particular temperature of 7 Kelvin, the Kamerlingh had got the Nobel Prize now. So at 1941, niobium nitride was found to be superconductor at 16 Kelvin. This is very, very important. This was the things that they have been discovered at a different years, right? At different year, at different temperature, the different materials are behaving as a superconducting material. So here we just started of today's topic, what is actually the meaning of superconductors, and we found that certain materials at low temperatures, they are exhibiting zero electrical resistance, and we say that is called superconductivity. Then how it has been formed, right? How this superconductivity has been formed. So what is a factor which is related to superconductivity? So it is observed that the electrical resistance of the conductor is becoming zero at absolute zero value temperature. So the materials which are exhibiting high conductivity at very low temperature, we just say that is called superconductors, and just given the example of lead and niobium nitride. So when I talk about temperature, definitely there are a few materials. For mercury, at a temperature of 4.2 Kelvin, it behaves as the superconductor, and lead at 7 Kelvin, it behaves as a superconductor. So like this, the Kamerlingh Onnes has achieved a Nobel Prize. Now we just call that as Sir Hike Kamerlingh Onnes, right? And the superconductivity phenomena of losing the resistivity at a sufficiently very low temperature, and we just say, when I say again and again low temperature, let us now onwards we just say that is called a critical temperature. So in 1911, K. Kamerlingh Onnes, who discovered that at 4.5, you can just see the schematic graph where you'll find that in the x-axis we have just taken the temperature in terms of Kelvin, and on the y-axis resistance we have taken, and that resistance, since it is in kelvins on the x-axis, and we have taken the values very less 0.0, 0.10 itself, 0.15, 0.10 ohms, 0.15 ohms itself. You can just observe this. This is a very, very low resistance at a 4.5 Kelvin. This particular mercury is behaving as a superconductor, due to which it has been discovered by the Kamerlingh Onnes. So the superconductivity is a material which conducting electricity or just transporting the electrons from one atom to another with no resistance. Now finally we say that what is actually superconductor. So someone asks you how you define superconductor. So we just say that it is a material which conduct electricity from one atom to the another atom with no resistance, right, at a critical temperature. So this particular fact we just say that is called a superconductor. Now what is the meaning of here? What this actually definition means? So it means that if there is no heat, sound, or any other form of energy which is released from the material when it has reached the critical temperature, or the temperature at which we say that that is a critical temperature. So it means that the temperature at which the same material which was previously behaving as a conductor now behaves as a superconductor by losing the electrical resistance. The values statistically reduce to zero, or it will achieve to zero at a very low temperature. Now the material at above this critical temperature, it may behaves as a conductor, and when it reaches the critical temperature, the same material can behave as the superconductor. So we have just taken the example of the mercury at 4.5 4.5 Kelvin. It is found that it acting as a superconductor. Now, so most material at extremely low temperature, it will not exactly become superconductivity. So superconductive material. So the research is going on to develop some compounds that become superconductor at higher temperature. So when I say 4.2 Kelvin or 7 Kelvin or some 16 Kelvin, Kelvin means so you'll have 0 degree centigrade is equal to minus 273 degree Kelvin, right? 2 minus 273 Kelvin. So this is the way that what is the fluctuation or the variation in the temperature. So the scientists have been slowly discovering at higher temperatures also we can get the superconducting property. So it currently some very large amount of energy is used in cooling the process. So we require a large amount of energy to make that atom to be cool at this Kelvin temperature, as we have seen for lead, right? And mercury also. So you can imagine that. So we require a excessive or large amount of energy to make this particular material to cool at particular temperature at which uh, they behave as a superconductor. So how many superconductors are there? There are two types of superconductors. These are very very important: type 1 superconductors and type 2 superconductors. When I say type 1 superconductor, so what it means, this you can just see that if the temperature range lies between this, right? This is the approximate value of 0.000325 Kelvin to 7.8 Kelvin at standard pressure. You'll find that this is a transition temperature, or we just say transition means changing the state, the temperature at which the material is changing its state. So here that is a reason that it called as the transition temperature, or we just say that is a critical temperature. The type 1 superconductor suddenly lost there will be loss of magnetization, and they exhibit a Meissner effect. We also say that type 1 is nothing but it is a soft superconductor. So it exhibit a Meissner effect. I will show you what is actually the Meissner effect in the properties of superconductors. So there will be no mixed state. What is this mixed state? I will show you. And they are termed type 1 superconductors are termed as the what you can say soft superconductors or type 1 superconductor. Lead, tin and mercury is one of the few examples of these type 1 superconductors, right? When we compare this type 1 superconductor with the type 2 superconductor, the first point you can just see that there is sudden loss of magnetization here in the type 2 superconductor. Gradually there will be loss of magnetization. In type 1 superconductor they fully exhibit Meissner effect, and you do not in type 2 superconductors or hard superconductors does not exhibit the complete Meissner effect. You will find that there is a mixed state, and examples for this is niobium and tin, niobium, titanium, and so on. These are few examples of type 2 superconductors or hard superconductor. In examination, they will ask you differentiate between type 1 and type 2 superconductors. So this, if you can just write it down, this 5 to 6 points, that will be enough for you to score maximum marks, right? So now we'll just go in depth of type 1 superconductor. Just now we just say that type 1 superconductor consists of basic conductivity elements that are used for the electrical wiring to computer microchips. So some type 1 superconductors require a large amount of pressure in order to reach the superconducting state. So for now what we say, why we call this type 1 superconductor a soft superconductor, because it contains a basic electrical wiring. Starting from electrical wiring to computer microchips, we require some different superconductors. So the type 1 superconductors are used for electrical wiring, and also it will be used for building or manufacturing of the computer microchips. So some type of superconductors require incrementable amount of pressure in order to reach the superconducting state. So at this particular juncture you'll find the temperature is given in the box. You can just have an example, one example. for which see here, one such material is a sulfur, which requires a pressure of 9.4 in 10 power of 11 newtons per meter square and temperature of 7 Kelvin to reach the superconducting state. You can just imagine that what is the temperature they require to reach the superconducting state. So here some of the examples of type 1 superconductor is given, where mercury is 4.15 Kelvin, lead is having 7.2 Kelvin, aluminum is 1.175 Kelvin, and zinc is 0.85 Kelvin. Now roughly you can just say that this is the temperature or the critical temperature at which you will find that there will be exhibiting the superconductivity phenomena. This is what actually we are dealing with. So here type 2 superconductors are actually composed of some metallic compounds such as copper or lead. They reach a superconducting state at very high temperature when compared with the type 1 superconductor. Just now we have taken the examples of superconductors, that is type 1 superconductor. You will find that is 4.2 Kelvin, 7.5 Kelvin, or just it is very very low temperatures. So that is the reason that is called, this is one of the reason for which the type 1 superconductors are nothing but they called as a soft superconductors. So when you just see these type 2 superconductors, so the probably the temperature will be high when compared to the type 1 superconductors. So here the temperature is found to be, you can just see that 135 Kelvin, that is 1 minus 138 degrees centigrade. And you can just see this is the material for which a combination of material which is becoming as a superconductor at this particular temperature. So when they are cooled at sufficiently low temperature, you find a large number of metals and alloys can conduct electric current without resistance. This is very very important one. So when they are cooled, when such materials are cooled at sufficiently low temperature, so there are maximum number of metals and alloys which conducts the electric current without the use of resistance. Now this is actually the, just now I told you that the state at which there will be completely loss of resistance, and we just say that at particular temperature at which there will be completely loss of resistance, we just say that is called critical temperature. You can just see this resistivity, this is the zero resistivity. You will find that rho is equal to 0, infinite number of charge carriers can flow in the superconducting material. So now when we just plot a graph, right, resistance versus temperature for a low temperature superconductor, you can just see that the resistance drops abruptly to an unmeasurably small value. You can see here by taking the temperature on the x-axis in terms of Kelvin and the resistance in terms of ohms, there is a graph has been plotted to make you understand how the critical temperature at Tc value, that is given by critical temperature, the resistance is suddenly dropping out, and which cannot be measurable to a particular finite value. So the critical temperature varies from the superconductor to superconductor, but they lies between 1 Kelvin to 20 Kelvin for metals and metal alloys. So now until the 1986, it is found that an alloy of niobium and aluminum and germanium, you'll find that there will be a maximum critical temperature when compared with the type 1 superconductors. A superconductor with the critical temperature less than 25 Kelvin are said to be low critical superconductor, whereas you can just say that is called the type 1 superconductors. Now occurrence of superconductivity, so tin, the material superconducting elements, the tin is behaving at a temperature of 3.72 Kelvin, it is behaving as superconducting. Mercury, just now I told you that is 4.15 is one of the example, lead 7 and so on, niobium, titanium. Just now we discussed the superconducting compound, a mixture of the compounds, that is niobium and titanium together. So for these particular superconducting compounds, you'll find that the critical temperature at which they are behaving as a superconducting material. Now, just now I told you that about the Meissner effect. So Meissner effect is one of the very very important, as for a superconductor the resistance is becoming zero, and as the resistance is very less or approximated to zero, so the they are exhibiting a property called superconductivity. So here, apart from the zero resistance, or what you can say is resistance-less transportation of the current, the superconducting state is characterized by perfect diamagnetism. That is, when I say diamagnetism, the magnetic field value is minimum, that is zero inside the superconductors. So what is actually Meissner effect? Now, Meissner effect is nothing but the expulsion of magnetic lines of forces of magnetic field from the superconducting element during its transition to a superconducting state. So here Meissner and Robert Austin-Well discovered the phenomena of this Meissner effect in the year 1933 by measuring the magnetic field distribution outside the superconducting tin and lead samples. So Meissner effect, what is actually the Meissner effect? Says that the conducting material is placed in a magnetic field under the condition where the temperature is less than or equal to the critical temperature. The magnetic lines of forces are expelled out from the material, which shows that it is a perfectly diamagnetic material. In exhibiting character of diamagnetic material, we just say that this particular phenomena is said to be Meissner effect. So now there is really existence of this critical field, critical magnetic field, which is represented as H suffix C. Now, above which the superconductivity disappear. Below this, there will be an existence of superconductivity. So superconductivity disappears, the material returns to the normal state. You can just see the diagram, also schematic diagram, and the x-axis. If I taken the, we have taken the applied magnetic field, and you'll find that at different distances or different length, you'll find HC1, HC2. Now this two mixed HC1 and HC2 state is known as mixed state, wherein you'll understand that the magnetization, when it is varied with respect to the applied magnetic field, so definitely type 1 superconductors is shown with the dotted lines, and type 2 superconductors are, we just say call that is ideal superconductor, is showed with a dark line. So now this was the character which is exhibited by superconducting material at a sufficiently low temperature. You'll find this is the values of the magnetic field. Now these values of this magnetic field, you can imagine it will be dotted lines, and the dark solid lines have been shown to differentiate the type 1 and type 2 superconductors. Now when we just say that, just now we have discussed about the Meissner effect, so you can just see on the right hand side diagram where you'll find that the magnetic lines of force are expelling out from the superconducting element, where temperature is less than the critical temperature. This is possible, very important, if the temperature is very less than the critical temperature, or we just say that is called transition temperature. So this particular instance, you'll find that there is an exhibited, they are exhibiting the Meissner effect. Now in a weak magnetic field, what is happening? The superconductor are ejecting the all the magnetic fluxes, or we just say that magnetic lines of forces. Now therefore, since they are expelling out the magnetic lines of forces, so here the conductivity is found to be infinite, so in the case of the superconductor. So finally we just say superconductor, what is the conditions, what are the main condition a given material is acting as a superconductor. So here the first important parameter that we need to understand, that the resistivity is found to be 0, and the magnetic induction field definitely will be equal to 0 when we apply a uniform magnetic field to a superconducting material. It is observed that the resistivity value is approaching to 0, and the magnetic induction is also nearly equal to 0. And we just say these are the two important conditions wherein a given material is said to be a superconductor. So now, what is the character, right? Just now we discussed about what is actually the meaning of superconductor, and what are different types of superconductors, type 1, type 2 superconductors. Now, since we got an information regarding the exact definition or concept of superconductor, now we just deal with the characteristic properties of the superconductors. Now, what are the different characters? So the first important character, that it is possess a zero resistivity, and as I said you, zero resistivity, definitely the temperature should be less than the critical temperature. So the electrical resistance of a superconductor are all temperature below a critical temperature, that is called transition temperature. At this particular juncture, you'll find that there will be no superconductivity. Now we just say conductivity is maximum. Now when we just plot a graph between temperature on the x-axis and the resistance on the y-axis, you will find that at a critical temperature, below this critical temperature, the material is acting as a superconductor. Above this critical temperature, it is behaving as the non-superconducting metal. Now what will happen when I just apply an electromagnetic field to this superconductor? So what is actually happen, right? So here the magnetic inductance becomes zero inside the superconducting when it is cooled in a weak definitely. So the magnetic inductance is also becoming zero when it is cooled to a very less external field, and we just say that is called Meissner-Ochsenfeld effect. The superconducting material always expels the magnetic lines of force, which has been mathematically shown with B is equal to 0. Now this is what we observe. It is important to know that superconductivity of the metal will definitely disappear at the critical temperature. So what is the minimum magnetic field required to destroy the superconducting property at any temperature is mathematically given by. So definitely, see, we needed some important magnetic field value for which the superconducting state can be removed, and the same material will be exhibited by as a normal metal. And also in the vice versa case, uh, the same thing will apply, right? So what is a mathematical relationship when I say minimum magnetic field? So it has been denoted by Hc is equal to H naught into 1 minus T by Tc whole square. Now this is H naught is said to be a critical field at 0 Kelvin, and capital T is a temperature which is less than the critical temperature, and the critical temperature is also termed as transition temperature. You can just see, imagining that at Tc, the second figure, less than Tc, you just say that the given material is exhibited the superconducting state. So what is this thermal property of a superconductor? Definitely different thermal conductivity of superconductors, there will be a definitely variation in between the two phases. What are these two phases? uh, Definitely one state to the another state, we just say that is a thermal conductivity of superconductor. There will be continuous change occurring. So now with these few characteristics of the superconductors, where we are moving toward the application part. So till now we just discussed about the concept, what is actually the meaning of superconductor, how the superconductor is formed, and this discovery of superconductor has been fetched a Nobel Prize to the Kamerlingh owns, right, which is very very important. And we have just discussed about different characters of the superconductor, why this superconductor is special when compared with the conductor and semiconductor. So just now we discussed about the thermal properties, the other two aspect of Meissner effect, effect of magnetic field, and so on for the importance of this superconductor. So now we just discuss, actually see the with this particular concept, we just move forward to understand the different applications of the superconductors. Here you can just see the tabular form, where you can just see the if it is magnets and how this magnetism is helpful in different applications, and how it is related to how the superconducting elements or superconducting compound is helpful in power related issue, transportation, electronic and other some smaller device, computer information processing. You can just see there are various numerous number of applications. That is the reason that an engineering student should have the information regarding these superconductors. So now the first application of superconductor, when we see that, it is called magnetic levitation, and this magnetic levitation is been running successfully in Japan. You can just see that is called MLX-01 train, where it is the basic principle on which the train is moving. It is we just say that is called magnetic levitation. So now what is this magnetic levitation? Let us see that the superconductor, as we know that it is behaving as a perfect diamagnetic material, it repels the magnetic lines of force. So virtually it eliminates the friction between the train and the track. So that is the reason that it will float in the a cushion of air. There will be a air cushion formed in between the track and also the wheels of the train. At that particular what you can say air cushion will be there. The movement of the train will be there. So what is actually the meaning of levitation? It is a process by which the object is suspended by force against the gravity with a very high powerful magnets, right, in a stable position without the without any physical contact. So very high what you can say magnetic materials have been placed such that the train will float in the air. Cushion value. What is the second application? So various high particle accelerators. You can use these for high particle oscillators for R&D department, and particularly we talk about research and development. Superconductors are used to make extremely powerful electromagnets, which will definitely accelerate the charged particles. And superconducting quantum interference devices can be used to detect the weakest magnetic field, which will be used for mine detection equipment. So to removal of the landmines, right? So when we talk about detection equipment, definitely the superconducting quantum interference devices are used to detect the landmines uh, from the enemy, and also in the what you can say particularly we for mines also it will be used. So now US is developing an e-bombs. So these devices make use of very strong superconductors which are being derived by very high intensity electromagnets. Now these devices have been used by USA in bombarding the Iraqi facility. So you can just imagine they can release a 2 billion watts of energy at once. So this is one of the few examples, right? Applications, right? And also this is very important. Efficient electricity transportation superconductors have many uses. They obviously very high efficient conductors. So instead of using this aluminum, which is costly, there will be enormous saving to the cost. Cost cutting will be there. So here you'll find that there will be no loss of energy in the form of heat. So the superconducting magnets are more efficient in generating the electricity than normal conventional copper wire. So therefore superconducting generators can just take the half size of the copper wire generator, and it is very efficient. And typical generators are more efficient, more means 50% efficient when compared with the normal copper wires and so on. Now this is only a few applications we have discussed. There are numerous number of applications which have been used for different purposes in day-to-day life, right? So with this, I will just take a leave. Just now we discuss about superconductivity. So in the next class, we just discuss about some numericals related to superconductor, and also we just discuss BCS theory in the next class, right? With this, I will just take a leave. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your patience.